More victims have come forward in connection with the syndicate linked to the murder of Olorato Mongale. This follows an SABC interview with a man believed to be part of the group. A woman who survived a similar attack says she recognized his voice and claims he was involved in kidnapping her last December after meeting him for a date. She was robbed, threatened, and told that she was being, quote unquote, taught a lesson for how she presented herself on social media. The main suspect in Mongale's murder, Philangenkosi Makhanya, was killed in a police shootout last week. We'll now speak to SABC News Senior Reporter Jade Paulse, who has been doing quite a bit of work around that particular story. Jade, good afternoon. Let's pick up where your further reporting on this story has taken you. Tell us about what we need to know about what has been coming out since the murder of Olorato Mongale and the story of a syndicate being in operation.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, to Lasizwe, and to the viewers back at home. And yeah, like you said, following that SABC interview in the wake of that fatal shooting of Olorato, SABC News has further uncovered evidence suggesting that a sinister syndicate may be behind Olorato's tragic murder. And we've been working with police, and new leads have identified a possible new suspect. And the investigation has really expanded to reveal more victims. So after I spoke to a man who I can't name, police do have his name as well as his surname. After that interview, more victims to Lasizwe started reaching out to me and saying, we recognize this name. And in fact, I did speak to one of the witnesses, and I'm sure you saw that insert, and I gave her the alias of Jessica. And Jessica reached out to me to say, Jade, the person that you spoke to on the news, that voice lives inside my head rent-free. That voice has been haunting me from the 15th of December when I was robbed and kidnapped in Pretoria. And she goes on to say, if I send you a picture, can you confirm? Now, ethically, at the time, I couldn't confirm or deny if this was the person. But once I met up with her, once we went to Johannesburg and I met up with her, we started seeing that her story was very much like Olorato. She had all the information. We spoke to her family, and she said that this person that I interviewed was, in fact, her perpetrator, the person that kidnapped her and robbed her. And she went as far as to say that he didn't act alone, to Lasizwe. There was indeed a female in the car at the time that she was kidnapped and she was robbed. And she was told at the time that this is the perpetrator's sister, that he would be dropping off the sister before they would go on a date. This was not the case. She was in on the entire robbery and the kidnapping.
Sure.
And after we spoke to her and that insert went to air, another victim came forward, another witness came forward to tell me that, in fact, the voice that I heard on air is indeed my boyfriend. We met on Instagram. We dated for 5 months. I have been in the apartment of a Mzantoti. I, in fact, was with him at the time that we purchased a red Beijing vehicle, the same red Beijing vehicle that the first witness, Jessica, named as the car that she was kidnapped in.
Sure.
And all these stories started coming together. It was then that we decided as the SABC to meet with the legal team and to meet with the investigating officer, Brigadier Nama, to give him this information that we have uncovered. And since then, we've been working with police.
Yeah. So, Jade, I guess the essence of this is that any notion that this syndicate consisted of 2 people, or at most 3, if you include the suspect that was killed, the suspect that was taken in, and then the suspect who is at large. Any notion that those were the only people involved, we must dispense with that notion, because more and more people may actually have been involved.
Indeed. What we do know, to Lasizwe, that Bongani Mtimkulu is still on the run. He's still at large. Philangenkosi Makhanya was fatally shot in that shootout with police at that Mzantoti apartment that I speak of. And then there's a third and a fourth, possibly 6 more people that have been named. We have bleeped out those names in our insert, but police do have the names of those people. 2 individuals who also robbed and kidnapped a third victim that has come forward. That is going to be our third expose, which will probably be flighted on Monday. And she names 2 more people who police have not identified in the syndicate. And that is over and above the 2 women that the first witness that we spoke to, Jessica, names as also being alleged to be part of the sinister syndicate.
Yeah, and those haunting words there from the victim that you spoke to that says, "That voice lives in my head," is something that, is hard to forget. Let's move on, Jade. Let's talk about the other story that you are covering, and this has to do with the killing of the rapper Keenan Forbes, a.k.a. That trial is set to begin on Wednesday. What can we expect there?
Well, I think this is where we will start finally finding out what has been going on. We've had several bail applications, as you know. The last one from the 4th accused, Dutembe Gwabeni, who tried to get bail. The state is saying they are ready for trial to Lasizwe. So on Wednesday, when trial resumes, we are going to have a final date set, and that is when the actual trial will start. We are expecting the family, Tony Forbes, a.k.a. his father, to be present in court as well as other family members. They have said that once the trial commences, that is when they are going to come through and sit and listen to all the details on that fateful night that a.k.a. was killed on the 10th of February 2 years ago. So once that trial starts, we are expecting that a lot more information will come to light. What we do know in that trial is that a large sum of money was paid to these suspects. However, the family is saying that the kingpin and the mastermind, they do not believe that it is the 4th suspect, Mzwithemba Gwabeni. They do believe that police have not apprehended the mastermind behind this case. But we shall see as it unfolds.
Yeah, more details certainly will start coming out as the trial begins. Jade, thank you for that. That's Jade Paulse, just really working that story and following on especially the story around the syndicate that was said to have been involved in the killing of Olorato Mongale.